with performance point and a filter, publish out a dashboard into SharePoint, show you what that looks like, and hopefully, really quickly, touch on PowerPivot. And I've got 55 minutes to do it. All right, so if I go fast, too bad. No, really stop me if you got any questions. And what I'm doing is I'm going to pop back in here. I'm remote desktoped into a terminal server client back in our office because I didn't want to run the server around. And I'm going to go into, we've got a standard demo set we often work with that has some imaging and some workflow around some expense reporting. And what's not important is what's in here. What's important is what we're going to do with it. So basically what we have is a document library on this page with a bunch of expenses that have been submitted. Okay? Those expenses live in a document library like this, nothing special. What I want to do is say, I'd like to get a quick visual sense of what's going on in terms of when things are being submitted, how much is being expended, and what they're being allocated to. I may not have access to any of these high-end tools. I've just got access to SharePoint. So I'm going to go back over here to my finance dashboard, and I'm going to very quickly edit this page. I should just click that icon, but I never do it. I'm old school, that's right. Good old SharePoint 2000. And I'm going to add a web part. And down here under business data, you'll see the chart web part. I'm just going to add that. We really need a new picture for this guy. Down here, the chart web part shows up, right? And it's basically got some sample data to show you what it is. So the first thing we want to do is go into data and appearance. This ain't like any other web part you see. We're going to go to customize your chart, and we're going to do a couple of quick things. This should be familiar to all you guys using Dundas. This looks very similar, but there's all kinds of different little charts you can build into here. I'm going to pick the basic column. Click next. What its appearances are, we can pick from a bunch of preset palettes. What its size is, how it gets rendered, because at the end of the day it's really just producing an image. Okay? I'm going to hit next. Do we want to show a chart title? No, not in this case, but we might want to show a legend. And I'm just going to click there. I don't want the legend over there. I want it to be at the bottom. I want to dock it to the chart area, but I don't want to dock inside the chart. So I want to have a legend that shows up there. I want to have the chart look like that. That's what we just got. I'm going to click on axes and grid lines. I can got all kinds of fine grained control here. I'm not going to change anything. Data labels and markers. I don't want to show markers, but I do want to show data labels. So I'm going to see what the numbers are. Okay. Finally,
to bump up your sizes.
Yeah, you can show.
Just in the bottom right to go like 120% or something on this one.
oh,
Just make it easier to
In the
read.
browser, just make it a little more legible.
on the screen,
On the back.
on the text. I never do. Oh yeah, right here,
Yeah.
like that.
Do that on the go. Slide down.
As long as I can scroll. Yeah, okay, no problem. Yeah, is that better for everybody? Okay. You're sitting in front.
Yeah. That's for future prescription.
Yeah, I hear ya. Okay, I'm just going to click finish. There were some more I didn't show you, hyperlinks and tooltips. So hopefully you don't mind a little bit of scrolling around. So you can see here's our chart, but it's still using obviously demo data, but we're getting more of what we were talking about. So I'm going to go back into data and appearances again. And this time we're going to connect the chart to its data. And here's my options for connecting to back-end data, right? You'll notice SQL isn't on there. It basically needs to connect to something that's within SharePoint somewhere, somehow, okay? So we could connect through another web part. If the web part's providing data to us, that's great. We can connect to a list, which is what we're about to do. All right, that's fairly straightforward. BDC, shouldn't that be BCS?
Yeah, it's
Still BDC, still in there.
I know, under the covers. What's that? Marketing didn't get this one. But basically, if you did want to get SQL data, what you want to do is connect to it via BCS or BDC and expose it that way, and then we can use that in the chart web part. So that's a way around that. And finally, we can connect the data that's in an Excel spreadsheet through Excel services. I'm going to click Next. I'm then going to pick my library. It's in this is the right site. I can pick whatever site I want, but this is the right site. And I'm going to go into expense reports. Click next. Here's the data from that list, what I'm going to get. All right, that sounds wonderful. I'm going to click next. 83 records. For the X field, I'm going to pick the expense total. Oh, I've already got the expense total, sorry. Sorry, the Y field is expense total. The X field I'm using employee. If I don't check my notes, I will do something stupid. Group by expense type. And finish. And it looks like hell. Too much data. One of the things the chart web part doesn't do for me is aggregate, right? So what I need to do is filter that data back and get something that's a little more reasonable. And so it doesn't mean it's useless, it does mean it's more specific to the task. So I'm going to go back to connect the chart to data and go back a step. And I'm going to go back into this data and I'm going to go into filter. I'm going to say I actually want my submitted date, which is a date field, to equal 5/11/2010. Preview that data. That's manageable. I'm going to finish it. And we got something that's a little more understandable.
Could you make that dynamic?
Doesn't work with connected web parts.
What's that?
Doesn't work with.
It'll work with connect. You can connect web parts, so I can take my data from another web part. So you
No,
can
I'm
dynamically.
thinking my parameters for filtering. Can I set them up from a?
I don't believe you can.
Okay.
RS for that.
But you can filter the connected web part
That's correct.
using connections.
That's correct. Right. So if I got my data coming from another web part, that can be filtered and feed this web part that way. So you can get very creative with it. But again, think about this. It's breaking one of the rules right off the bat, right? I'm reporting on source.
So the
data.
other web part could be a list view then.
That's correct. That's correct. That's exactly a good point. And then you could drive that with a filter web.
Yeah,
part,
like
right?
current user type view.
Right. It's got use. I'm going to dump all over it, right? Because it's not full on BI. We're reporting directly on source data. It's kind of clunky. I mean, if you look at it, I can't do any kind of transformation. So if we're looking at a user, we're getting that lookup, right? The lookup field value for the user, 25 hashtag name. There's not much we can do with that. We could do some other things with that, again, by passing it through. But at some point in time, maybe we want to look at a better way to do it. It's a quick way for business users to be able to quickly visualize some data that exists within SharePoint. It's probably the best way to look at this tool, although it's pretty neat.
And is it a standard or enterprise?
Enterprise. You need enterprise to use the chart web part. Absolutely. Good, very, very good question. A lot of BI stuff is enterprise focused, right? Performance Point is enterprise focused. Reporting services is not. What's that?
Excel services.
Excel services is an enterprise feature.
Doesn't it install all with the standard edition? You just need the enterprise cal to turn it on to be license compliant?
If you're talking about technically, the
Yes.
bits are there,
Yes.
but you don't have access to the bits without the license key.
Without the license key.
Correct. Once you put the enterprise license key in on the server side, it's all or nothing, by the way. Boom, for your farm, and you're now enterprise. And by the way, all your licenses are. There's actually been
No,
a
you
change
can
to the
mix that.
licensing.
Oh,
now.
you can
They
mix
used
it.
to be that way.
You can mix
You-
cal.
you-
They changed in the middle of 07.
Yeah,
Yeah,
yeah.
you can have
Yeah,
some
it used to be
standard
that
and
way.
some enterprise.
Yeah. Which that was news to me not too long ago. So really now you can't. So that's great. But the server basically gets branded as enter, and all the bits are available. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah. I think even Foundation doesn't have all the bits there when you install it. You got to put the yeah. That's right. Okay, so that's the chart web part. Any more questions on chart web part? First demo down.
Yes, can you use the those templates, the XML templates here in this chart?
I don't know. I've never tried those.
Is the chart up on Office 365? You look.
Yeah, I don't know.
I bet you it is.
BI tools are not there. So
I'll bet
Well,
you it
yeah,
is.
but it isn't dependent on any other BI function.
Right.
that's true.
And there's an awful lot of enterprise stuff up on 360. I
Yeah.
gotta look. I have not checked that out. Good
No.
question.
They get a price.
You get to stay. You get to tell me whether
I
you
got-